Hey guys, so in the last video I was talking about how one of the goals, one of the requirements in order to completely break out of the illusion, if you're sort of trying to work the process to get closer to that, one of the requirements is dropping your human agendas. So, and this truly dropping it, truly changing the way that you look at your human agendas, which is a terrifying thing. Because at least I think when you're first facing that, it brings up a fear of what do I do now then? Who am I without this? What do I do now without this? What's the meaning of my life without these things? And when I say dropping your human agenda, I mean quite literally giving up the idea of the things that you want in the 3D world. So whatever it is that you're after, just completely and totally dropping it. So you want a relationship, you think that's going to fix everything. You want a lot of money, you think that's going to fix everything. You know, for me, you want to be perfect physically, you think that's going to fix everything. And that's where your thoughts are for weeks, months, years, decades. It's dropping that completely. It's saying, I'm done with this. I'm done with the judgments that I have on this thing. It's not saying I'm never going to have any money, or I'm never going to have a relationship, or I'm never going to improve physically, but it is completely dropping the current way that you're looking at it permanently, because you can't both be attached to something within the illusion and fully escape the illusion. It's just not possible. They're mutually exclusive. Anything that you're hanging on to within the illusion, within the 3D world, the physical world, within the hologram, anything that you anything you have strong feelings about needing to have as a part of your illusion, keeps you in the illusion. It's the thing that glues the illusion together. It's the thing that you keep energizing that is keeping you stuck in the inability to see how meaningless this thing is in reality, how meaningless this pursuit is, and how little there is for you to be gotten from this pursuit. So dropping the agenda for me with my body, what I've had to do with it, and this is like, I'm so used to this being a part of everything. It's been having to, every time something comes up about it, I've been having to tell myself, this isn't real, and I'm not pursuing this anymore. This is no longer something that I'm going to validate. This is no longer something I'm going to continue to feed energy into. Which, at first I was like, and I've said for years, as I was talking about this problem for me, that like, I want to be free of it. I just want to not care about it. What that means is not caring about it. Like, it's very, very simple. I want to be free of this thing. It's just funny, as I've had to go through this process of exiting the illusion every time I have one of these thoughts or judgments and saying, no, this judgment is what's keeping this alive. It's like everything's hanging on for dear life, because these judgments, once they're gone, the problem isn't there anymore. I'm keeping the problem there. Like, I've been making this problem, sort of involuntarily at the human level for a long time. But as I became aware of it, I'm realizing that this is a choice. This is a choice to be continuing with this. Like, every thought that I have about this, every thought that's given importance, is what's keeping this my reality. Just the importance of the entire thing, the importance of money, the importance of relationships, the importance of health, the importance of physical appearance, That's what keeps them alive. That's what keeps those things alive. Am I making any sense? Getting rid of the agenda means literally getting rid of the agenda, dropping it forever. And it was kind of like there was sort of a mourning period for me where I just kind of felt like a part of me was dying here. It was just like this thing that had been given so much thought and energy and that had been thought of so fondly as the answer to everything. Just kind of realizing that it wasn't ever real. It was all imaginary. And sort of, there's just sort of this empty space in its place. It didn't take long for this to right itself. But there were a couple days in there where I was just like, I don't know who I am without this. I don't know what this is without this thing. This thing that's been such a part of my life for so long. I don't know who I am or really what all this is without that. And there was just kind of like a mourning period that passed. I had a conversation with my ex about this, my good friend. I had a conversation with him about this exact thing, and I was just saying, it keeps trying to hang on. The old mentality keeps trying to resurface. It keeps trying to say, no, this is important, let's still do this, or in the old way. Because the thing is, here's the thing, and I've experienced this in every other area of my life. When something stops being important to you, when you realize that you've been turning something into a big deal that isn't a big deal, when you realize that you assigned meaning to something that it simply does not have, and it just kind of falls away when you realize it doesn't have that meaning, what then happens is whatever the actual thing was that you were trying to get. So say you wanted to get a romantic relationship because you thought it was going to be the end all be all. And then you realized that it wasn't the end all be all at all because you figured out something else was what you really needed or something. Then it's like the relationships it's just like easy to get, or money is easy to get, or whatever. And so it's really hard for me. I know that. So I know intellectually that releasing this agenda, right? I thinking about this at the time, like this was recent. It's like intellectually, I already know how easy it is to improve myself physically. I already know how easy it is to like have the ideal body and all of that. So it's not like there's any doubt that will be attained if it's what I want, which I think, I think it is something that I do want to experience in general. But knowing that made it even harder to drop the agenda, because I'm like, well, it's so easy to get. It's so easy to get. We should just get it. Let's just get it. Let's just get it. Oh, we're in a better place. Let's just get it. It's like killing that off was removing the importance from this. I think admitting that this was never really that important, or understanding that, was just kind of a sad thing for me. Maybe just because of how big it was. But there were moments there, and this wasn't a very long process for me because of how much I've already done with this, but there were moments in there where it was just like ego death or something. It was just terrifying. It just felt like life or death, because that's what I had made it into being on some level. This was like the glue holding the rest of everything together for me. It's funny, after I had that conversation with my ex specifically, after I put like some words to this and was talking about how I felt like, it's weird, I don't know who I am. This really feels like this strange leap into this huge unknown, just changing this idea that this is important, that this matters, dropping this agenda. I just don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I just feel, I kind of put that to words. And then after we hung up, I was laying there by myself, and I just realized that it's like history rewrote itself And I realized that I've been, I had this delusion throughout my entire life that any amount of me being pretty, like, was going to affect anything. There have been so many things in my life that I blamed on not being good enough physically. Like, there were so many things. I mean, so many that it could take a year and I couldn't come up with how many things I've said, well, I can't blame them for that because I'm not good enough, or, just so many things, like, in that silence, in the absence of that delusion, so much just became clear and rewrote itself. And I just realized, wow, like, nothing that's happened ever has been, because something wasn't good enough about me physically. Like, it certainly influenced me. It certainly influenced how I was in the world, in the illusion. It influenced me and my behavior, which influenced everything. But nothing about me physically was ever the reason for other people's behavior. Like, everybody is just expressing themselves. Down here in the illusion, my physical appearance has been completely irrelevant. And yet, in my mind, it's been the thing running everything. It's been the cause of everything in my mind to some degree or another. It's been why things didn't go the way I wanted them to go. It's been why I didn't get the love I wanted to get. It's been why I didn't have the relationships with my parents or my brother that I've always thought, that it would have been different if, I just realized no amount of anything in the illusion was going to change anything else in the illusion, because this shit's not real. Like, it's all just a projection. It's just an illusion. And all the ideas about myself, and still feeling like I just couldn't drop the feeling that it was important, that it mattered. Over the last month, I've had a couple different thoughts about it. I was thinking, well, it kind of makes sense from a biological perspective that I would feel like my physical attractiveness was very, very important, because perhaps in the past it has been, and my thinking was, well, physical attractiveness is associated with attracting like a mate who will look out for you. And as a woman, I was thinking, well, it even, I don't know, 200 years ago, probably more recent than that, like, you legitimately as a single woman would be in danger. If you didn't have a man in some capacity, your father, brother, husband, something, son, to look out for you, you could potentially be super fucked. So it's like, this is, epigenetics or whatever it's called. I don't know much about that, but just the human experience altering DNA, which is then passed down. I was thinking, well, some of this is just like I'm probably being influenced. I'm being too hard on myself for not being able to get past this idea that, like, it's important that I'm physically attractive, which is just, I just wanted to be done with that so badly. And I was just like, running through everything. What else is in there? What else can I just, trash? What else can I come up with and dissect and throw away? That was one of them. I was thinking about that, but I think even those ideas, they're just part of the energy being fed to the delusion, being fed to the agenda, and supported by the illusion, because the illusion supports you. It supports whatever you're creating with your energy. I'm sorry if I'm like off on another planet right now. But, even that, like, even I think that was maybe a month ago that I was thinking about that. Even that just feels like it was part of the delusion. And letting that go, that's just, I guess what I'm saying is that was another thing about letting it go that came up and was like kind of terrifying. Like, well, there's this genetic memory of this needing to be important. So anyway, it's been a process for me. I mean, I think it took about 10 days of really being dedicated to completely approaching, exiting the illusion without having any human agendas, which for me, the hurdle was getting over like the idea, can I really, like, is it really safe for me to do this? Is it really safe for me to let this go? But you can't have both. You can't both have your judgments, the things that are holding the illusion firmly in place, and escape the illusion. And the idea of escaping the illusion is not to just sit here with, experiencing nothing, as far as I can tell. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to experience everything in a completely different way that is so far beyond anything that you could experience from the old mentality, that you can't even really imagine it. I've had bits and pieces of that and a general sense of peace, but I wanted to explain more about what I meant by that, because it is quite an intense experience to truly commit to living your life without having any direct pursuit of something that also has any kind of importance or judgment attached to it. Basically, only experiencing life as it comes and only experiencing the product of your intention, whatever that is, and having intentions that don't have any judgment or importance on them is its own challenge. All right, I'm going to end this because I don't know if I'm even making any sense right now. Seriously, I apologize if I didn't, but I wanted to go more into what I meant in that last video and what this experience has been like. There are a few, so the video that I put out a couple days ago where I was talking about A Course in Miracles with forgiveness, I actually made that video in May 7th, and for some reason didn't post it, and I don't know, for whatever reason it was the right time to post it a couple days ago. And I was saying that video, I've been reading A Course in Miracles. I have been continuing to read A Course in Miracles, and a few of the lessons in there, there are workbook lessons in there that you can go through one a day for a year. And the things that are true, the things that stand out, the two of the workbook exercises that stand out are, you're never upset for the reason you think you are, is the first one, and the following one is, you're upset because you see a meaningless world. And those things are completely true. You're never upset. And this is true on multiple levels too. You're never upset in the illusion for the reasons you think you are. You're upset because you're giving meaning to something that isn't real. So that's what A Course in Miracles means, and that's what I mean when I'm saying, when you drop all judgments and everything, you realize that your judgments were what was gluing you to the negative things you were experiencing in the first place. It was gluing you to a false idea. And so you're just kind of in purgatory and hell. But it's also true from the illusion level. If you just look at the illusion, if you approach things happening in the illusion from a psychological standpoint, you know, you're never really upset for the reason you think you are, even in the illusion. The things that happen that upset you are bringing up something else. They're bringing up whatever it is you think you're upset about. It's just a mask for something else. It's just a mask for some prior thing that happened to you in the illusion. It's a mask for some unprocessed thing from the past that you maybe took a very strong belief from, or that you maybe took a whole orientation to life from, which, you know, is just a whole bunch of beliefs. And then when this thing happens in the present, you get triggered. It triggers that previous thing from which you drew a conclusion that's very painful. That's the basic anatomy of that. And it's really the same thing. It's just a different level of where are you looking at it? Where are you looking? Are you looking at it from the illusion level, or are you looking at it from outside of the illusion? It's a parallel, but sort of at a different, you know, a different level of thinking. And that all becomes very apparent when you truly are ready for and commit to dropping all of your human delusions. All right, I'm actually going to stop this here. So that's it. Have a great day.